Hey there. So since we started talking about this series, we've had now, I think, 150 or so questions submitted online, so please do keep those coming. And what I'm going to do is in between each of the sort of content videos telling our story and laying out the story, I'm going to pick a few of your questions. Obviously, I'm not going to get to 150 unless this is going to be a very long video, but I'll pick a few of them and we'll see where we want to go with those. So first one today, Glen Copeland asks us, thank you for your question, Glenn, asks us, I would be interested to hear more about the change management approach to eliminating performance ratings and how compensation decisions are made. At Cisco, the change management approach was actually really quite straightforward. A group of people got together and said, no one likes these things, we're spending a huge amount of time making them, they don't appear to do us any good, let's stop that, shall we? And the decision was made slightly before I arrived at Cisco to essentially overnight stop doing this and to see what happened in a world without performance ratings. What was done in terms of where everybody goes, well, how on earth do you pay people if you haven't sorted them into categories? It turns out that the solution was very simple. You give each team leader a budget and you say, spend the money on your team as you think fit based on the performance of each person. And in general, in a pay-for-performance culture, give more money to the people you think are doing really well and less money to the people you think aren't doing so well. You do you and tell us what that looks like. And it turned out that actually was not a huge, the sky didn't fall. Team leaders didn't come to us and say, oh, I wasn't able to put people in buckets, therefore I can't figure out how much money to give each person. So from that perspective, I think it's quite straightforward, the elimination. Now then, the introduction of an approach to teams and putting teams and individuals and strengths at the center of everything, that's taken a much longer time to percolate through our system. We've been at it now 4.5 years. But actually switching off a thing which nobody much liked, that wasn't actually particularly hard to do. Okay, that's that one. Janice says, thank you for your question, Janice. Janice says, our managers say they don't have time to meet often with their teams or give them encouragement. How and why should they find the time? I need a convincing answer. All right, Janice, here's my most convincing answer. Managers don't have the time. How should they find the time? Because it's their job. Because that's what you're paying them to do. You're paying them to build great teams. No one else can do it. Your organization needs great teams. How's it going to get them? By having team leaders who build great teams. How do you build great teams? You pay attention frequently to the people on the team, individually and collectively. You make space for them to say, here's what's going on in my world right now. Here's what I'm focused on in the next few days. Give me your sense of whether that's the right direction or not. You bring the team together. You say, let's share what we're all working on right now so that we have some collective intelligence. Yes, these things take time. Of course, they're a brilliant investment of time because if you do them well, you find out that you, the team leader, are having to do less of the work of everybody else, which of course is what happens if you're not paying attention to everybody else's work. You finish up micromanaging and diving in and trying to fix everything yourself. But the main reason to do this is that that's the job. That's what it is to lead a team. And if people say, well, I don't have time to do that, then the response is very simple. Then don't be a team leader. Be a brilliant engineer, be a brilliant developer, be a brilliant coder, be a brilliant architect, be a brilliant project manager, be a brilliant artist, be a brilliant videographer, be a brilliant whatever. Just don't be a team leader. Because that's the job of a team leader, and if you're not up for it, then you are creating harm in the world by doing it lazily. Convincing? Who have we got next? Cayman. Cayman says, how is your performance management aligned to the job description of your employees, having done away with competencies, ratings, and so forth? How do you enshrine a culture of accountability without these measures? Okay, so couple of answers ago, we talked about switching off performance ratings. How is frequent attention to the work aligned to the job description of our employees? Part one of the answer is it isn't, because actually you don't have to have all this stuff aligned and lining up beautifully. As soon as you flip your head and go, actually the way that the alignment works is that the employees know what their jobs are. They know what they're trying to do. They know what's in front of them every day. If they're confused about that, the team leader's there to help. And so when you invert the conversation and you go from feedback to attention, and you say the team leader's job is to give each team member attention to what's in front of them every single week, guidance if they want it, brainstorming if they want it, direction if they want it, a kind ear if that's what they need, then because the employees know what they're working on, because they're talking about it with the team leader, you don't need a job description written down. You don't need to tell somebody how they're measuring up to some predefined standard or not, because actually what you're trying to do is tell them how they measure up to being them at their best. That's always the question. Where are you in terms of giving everything you could possibly give in the way that only you can give it? That's the challenge. And what that means is that when it comes to accountability, accountability isn't a thing that comes from the top down. The organization leader, the team leader, doesn't hold the team member accountable for doing something. The team members hold the team leaders and the organization at large accountable for supporting them in their work. And if the organization fails to do those things, the team member leaves. The accountability mechanism for great teams is whether people choose to be on them or not. It's a very powerful accountability mechanism. And if you are a team member and you're not getting the attention that you want from your team leader, irrespective of technology or the Cisco story or the Deloitte story or 9 Lies About Work, hold your team leader accountable for that. If you don't get it from them, find another team. If you're a team member, understand that your job is to be accountable to those on your team, because you can help give them the attention they need to thrive. So those are 3 questions. I'll come back in a week or 2 weeks and pick 3 more. If you have questions based on these questions, you can put them in the comments below. If you have questions on last week's video, go and watch it again and put questions in the comments below. If you have questions on next week's video, do the same, and we'll keep the questions coming, and I'll keep answering them. Thanks very much.